The bright lights of Times Square in New York pulsed with the relentless energy of commerce, digital billboards screaming messages of aspiration and instant gratification. In a nearby electronics store, a family marveled at the sleek new smartphones, their fingers dancing across glass screens. Yet just a few blocks away, in the windows of a once mighty toy store that now stood empty, or an old video rental chain, lay ghosts. Ghosts of brands that once defined American life, but ultimately failed to adapt to the shifting sands of consumer desires and technological disruption. From the bustling avenues of New York to the quiet suburbs of the Midwest, their stories serve as stark, cautionary tales. These aren't just corporate blunders. They are epic sagas of complacency, missed opportunities, and the brutal reality of a market that punishes stagnation. We're talking about iconic US brands that once reigned supreme, commanding vast market shares and seemingly endless customer loyalty, only to crash and burn in spectacular fashion. Their demise offers invaluable lessons for any business owner, entrepreneur, or even just a curious consumer trying to understand the relentless pace of change. Let's peel back the layers and explore what truly went wrong for these giants. Blockbuster, the empire of late fees for millions of Americans and even beyond. A trip to Blockbuster was synonymous with Friday night. In its heyday, this video rental giant was more than just a store. It was a weekend ritual, a treasure hunt through aisles packed with VHS tapes and later DVDs. By 2004, Blockbuster had reached its peak, boasting over 9,000 stores worldwide and generating an astonishing $5.9 billion in annual revenue. They were the undisputed king of movie nights, even negotiating lucrative deals directly with Hollywood studios. Their brand was etched into the fabric of American entertainment, but beneath the surface, a quiet revolution was brewing. One Blockbuster largely dismissed. A small, ambitious company called Netflix emerged, offering a radical idea. Rent movies online, no late fees, delivered straight to your mailbox. And Blockbuster, anchored by its physical stores and addicted to the massive revenue stream from late fees, which once accounted for a significant portion of its profits, saw Netflix as a niche competitor easily dismissed. This was a classic case of innovator's dilemma, a theory by Clayton Christensen. Powerful incumbents often struggle to adapt to disruptive innovations because they threaten their core profitable business model. Blockbuster even had a chance to buy Netflix for a mere $50 million in 2000, but reportedly scoffed at the offer. As broadband internet gained traction, Netflix pivoted again, embracing streaming. While Blockbuster eventually launched its own online service and tried to compete, it was too little, too late. Its vast physical infrastructure became a liability, not an asset. Consumers craving convenience, speed, and endless selection from the comfort of their homes rapidly abandoned the video store. The old business model, once a fortress, crumbled under the weight of changing consumer habits and digital disruption. Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy in 2010, its thousands of stores rapidly vanishing from the American landscape. Toys R Us, the retail king's crippling debt. For generations of American children, the Toys R Us jingle, "I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid," was an anthem, and a trip to its warehouse-like stores was a magical journey through aisles of toys. Charles Lazarus, the founder, envisioned a supermarket for toys, creating the very first category killer that crushed smaller family-run toy stores. By the mid-1990s, Toys R Us controlled a staggering 25% of the world's toy market, operating 1,350 locations globally. They were the undisputed giant, famous for their immense selection. But the retail landscape was changing dramatically. Big box retailers like Walmart and Target began aggressively expanding their toy departments, offering toys at lower prices, leveraging their massive purchasing power. Parents increasingly found convenience in buying clothes, groceries, and toys all in one place. Toys R Us' vast selection became less of a unique selling point and more of a warehouse problem, creating a less inviting customer experience. Crucially, the rise of e-commerce, spearheaded by Amazon, delivered the final blow. Consumers could now compare prices instantly and order toys directly from home, stripping Toys R Us of its competitive edge in both selection and price. A disastrous leveraged buyout in 2005 for $6.6 billion saddled the company with $5 billion in crippling debt. This immense debt load devoured its profits and flexibility, leaving it with little capital to invest in store modernization, competitive pricing, or a robust e-commerce platform. While they attempted bold moves like a Times Square flagship store with a Ferris wheel, which cost $12 million a year and never turned a profit, the fundamental issues of debt and failure to adapt to omnichannel retail proved insurmountable. In September 2017, Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, liquidating its remaining stores by 2018. A giant that once symbolized childhood joy became a tragic symbol of retail failure. Kodak, inventing its own demise. The name Kodak was once synonymous with photography. For nearly a century, it dominated the photographic film market, holding an astounding 90% market share in the US by the 1970s and being one of the world's most valuable brands in the 1990s. Their yellow boxes were ubiquitous, their brand trusted worldwide. They represented quality, memories, and the very act of capturing life's moments. The astonishing truth, however, is that Kodak's own engineer, Steve Sasson, invented the first self-contained digital camera in 1975. It was bulky, took low-resolution black and white images, and took 23 seconds per exposure, but it was a disruptive technology, a glimpse into the future. Kodak's leadership, blinded by the immense profitability of its film and chemical business, feared that digital photography would cannibalize its lucrative core. They reportedly dismissed digital as a cute niche, a hobbyist toy, unable to imagine a world without photographic film. This was a textbook case of incumbency trap, or organizational inertia. A company too comfortable with its dominant position and too focused on protecting existing revenue streams to embrace a radical shift, even one it pioneered. While Kodak hesitated, rivals like Sony and Canon aggressively invested in digital cameras. By the early 2000s, digital photography went mainstream, obliterating the need for film and prints almost overnight. Kodak eventually tried to adapt, even becoming the top-selling digital camera brand by 2005. However, the digital camera market had far fewer barriers to entry than film, leading to ferocious competition and razor-thin profit margins. Kodak, with its massive film infrastructure and ingrained corporate culture, couldn't pivot fast enough or compete effectively in the new digital landscape. The patent for Sasson's invention expired in 2007, and facing mounting losses, Kodak filed for bankruptcy in 2012, a stark reminder that even inventing the future doesn't guarantee you own it if you're too afraid to disrupt yourself. BlackBerry, the king who ignored the revolution. In the early 2000s, before the iPhone, there was BlackBerry. These devices, made by Canadian company Research in Motion, RIM, were the undisputed kings of mobile communication, especially for business professionals, government officials, and anyone who needed secure, reliable email on the go. Its iconic physical QWERTY keyboard was legendary, and its robust encryption and proprietary network made it the gold standard for corporate IT departments. By 2009, BlackBerry commanded nearly 50% of the US smartphone market, with its devices lovingly nicknamed crackberries due to their addictive nature. But the smartphone landscape was about to be irrevocably altered. In 2007, Apple launched the iPhone, introducing a revolutionary full touchscreen interface and a burgeoning app ecosystem. Google followed soon after with Android, pushing an open-source software platform. BlackBerry's leadership famously dismissed the iPhone, allegedly viewing it as a niche consumer toy with poor security and an impractical virtual keyboard. This was a fatal misjudgment of changing consumer behavior and a complete misunderstanding of the smartphone's evolving value proposition. Consumers increasingly craved multimedia experiences, intuitive touch interfaces, and a vast array of apps for entertainment and personal productivity, not just secure email. BlackBerry, rooted in its enterprise focus and committed to its proprietary operating system, was painfully slow to adapt. Its own app store, BlackBerry World, couldn't compete in quantity or quality with Apple's App Store or Google Play. When it finally attempted to catch up with its own full-touch devices, like the ill-fated Storm in 2008 and a new operating system, BB10 in 2013, it was too little, too late, and often poorly executed. By 2013, BlackBerry's global market share had plummeted to a mere 0.6%, and by 2016, it effectively stopped making its own phones. A company that once dominated with a 20% global market share in 2010 had withered to insignificance, a stark warning about the cost of complacency and the failure to anticipate truly disruptive innovation. These stories, from the towering shelves of Blockbuster to the secure keyboards of BlackBerry, are more than just business failures. They are profound lessons in adaptability, foresight, and the brutal reality that no company, no matter how dominant, is immune to the relentless march of change. In a world where consumer habits evolve at lightning speed and technology reshapes industries overnight, the ability to innovate, to listen to the whispers of disruption, and to courageously cannibalize your own success for the sake of future relevance is not just a strategic advantage, it's the only path to survival.